that the biggest competition comes from within.
Right, thank you. One of the panelists suggested we go to a more broader, instead of me being specific to the questions, I'm going to pose a question and whoever wants to answer. But I want to hear everyone's voice during this discussion, okay? So you better promise me that I'll hear everyone's voice. All right, so the third question I would like to ask is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of competition between the arts organizations within the same area?
Well, there we go. Hello, I'm here. Okay, sorry. I wanted to just sort of answer the question about competition among local arts organizations generally first. And I don't know if everybody else at the panel will agree with this statement or not, but I don't really, Victoria Theater Association doesn't see itself as a competitor with City Folk, with DCDC, with the Dayton Performing Arts Alliance, with Blue Sky Project, with any other arts producing or presenting organization in the Dayton region. We see each other as colleagues, as collaborators, as friends. You know, we personally believe that if, you know, somebody decides that instead of buying a subscription to the Broadway series that the Victoria Theater Association presents, that instead they're going to support DCDC and, you know, Dayton Performing Arts Alliance or, you know, City Folk or whatever, we say fabulous, great, because we believe that if all the arts organizations have support, that's good for everybody. It's sort of the expression that a rising tide floats all boats. That if, you know, if City Folk is healthier, if DCDC is healthier, if the university arts programs are supported healthily, that helps everybody. And ultimately that will benefit the entire arts community and then Victoria Theater Association specifically. So, now what was your question? I don't think I answered it.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of competition between the arts organizations within the same area?
You mean the same area geographically, or the same genre, or what?
Geographically,
okay.
Yes.
And I would add to that, I agree. I think in what we present, there is not competition, but I do believe there is a little competition for the dollars in the community because and it's happened across the country, there aren't as many dollars to spend for fun as there used to be. And so that makes it a little tough for us, but you know, it just means we all have to step up. We have to do a little bit better marketing. We have to make sure that the acts we bring in or that we present are the best that they can be. And actually that's beneficial to the community because that means you have a great quality of life here because you have wonderful things to choose from. I've been in the city for about 2 years now, and there isn't a weekend that's gone by that I haven't had to literally choose what I want to do because there are so many things going on. So it's great for the community to be able to have that quality of life.
We're back to the Muse Machine, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with it, but it is a 30-year-old organization that was founded with the main purpose to provide opportunities for students to experience, participate, and value the arts. When I saw the competition, I immediately thought, competition, I don't think, we really don't compete. We partner with everyone, and if we didn't have the rich community that we have, we wouldn't be able to provide these experiences for students. So the idea for us is that students in high school, junior high should have as many opportunities to try different things. You may not like those things, but you've tried them, you experienced them, you know what they are. With the Muse Machine, our major fundraiser is a musical every year. But it also has turned out to be an opportunity for some of the very talented young people in this community to have a theater experience with professional directors. And again, partner is the word. This year, Joe Deere from Wright State will be directing that musical. So those youngsters will have an opportunity to work with one of our college professionals, an opportunity they probably wouldn't have in another city. And the thing that's happened from that is many of the young people in the Dayton community that have gone through the MUSE program in this way are better prepared for auditions if they're going on in theater or the arts. And as a result, there are an incredible number of young people that are making a living in New York in the arts that really got their start with all the organizations that we have here in town. So we're very, very lucky, is the bottom line, to have such a rich community. And MUSE is particularly appreciative because we partner with all of them. And if they weren't here, we couldn't provide those experiences to students.
I'll add to that, again, talking about the merger of 3 classic art forms in Dayton, which is a pretty historic event, or an innovative event, because it's not been done in the U.S. before. So we were about 3 months old, and again, that's with the opera, the ballet, and the Philharmonic. But I find that who I considered, when I worked solely at the opera, what I considered to be competitors are now my co-workers. So we're really rewriting, the way we're going to work amongst the 3 organizations. A lot more collaborations and that type of thing. The opera in the past has been a collaborator with pretty much every arts organization here in town. Like, for example, we work with the MUSE machine on our elementary and at least and secondary school programs. So we would not be able to do that without the help of MUSE machine. So and we're always looking for collaborations, and I think that's something that is really important, that the arts organizations, we have to embrace each other's art form and look at it as a potential for just introducing new people to the wonderful arts in this town, which, as you're going to hear a lot, are phenomenal.
Actually, I have another sort of example to add. When we talk, Kathleen, we were talking about competing for funding, competing for people's entertainment dollars, or where they're going to spend their support dollars, depending on how they look at how they're spending that. One of the things that sometimes people think with Victoria Theater Association, in addition to running Victoria, the Schuster, and the Mac buildings, we present the Broadway series. And in the last few years, we've had some really big shows come in for several weeks and bring lots of people downtown to the arts. And what's been really interesting about that is, though I know that it steals a lot of attention, and that other arts groups during that time period may have felt like they couldn't get people's attention about what they were doing at about the same time. But what we found out when we looked at the data of who those people were, and I'm sure that's true, people can only pay attention to so many things, but when we looked at the data of who came to those performances, like who came to 4 weeks of Wicked, about half of those people had never been to the Schuster Center before. So they're totally new people that we're bringing into the buildings where they pick, and then the brochure racks every night would get empty. So everything that was sitting in there about all the other arts groups that use those venues was going out the door with these patrons. So hopefully, instead of stealing money, we were introducing people to the experience of coming downtown to a performance, and introducing to me all the options that you mentioned, Kathleen, all the different things that are out there that we have here in the Dayton region. They were being introduced to those options in a way they might not have paid attention to in another way. So hopefully, those kind of events help grow audiences and expand the number of people that might then come back for another performance from another organization.
This particular question really was appealing to me, and that was one of the reasons I want to be on this panel. Very good. There's an overriding aspect that I have found throughout my career, started in '59, to the day that was permanent, either spoken or unspoken, that affects most of the things you've asked us to think about, both funding, both opportunities, as well as competition. That was the fact that most of it is based on Western aesthetics. And so this almost, because of the way it's practiced here in our particular country and society, eliminates a place in a lower level other artistic and cultural forms that was identified in the initial definition of culture. So how it affects the funding is that there's a tendency to lean towards those particularly artistic and creative forms that reinforce the current society. To be more explicit, in my training, elementary to high school to college to graduate school, I've only heard of artists like Picasso and Cézanne and Renoir and Delacroix and Mary Cassatt, and no one had ever mentioned an artist in terms of style, technique, or process that might inspire me to become an artist. But all those are in my head and said that I'm not an artist unless I know this. All was Western aesthetic and contrast, and at the exclusion of the artistic and cultural expressions of a diverse democratic society. So I find that impacts the funding and opportunities directly in terms of many aspects of our community. So it's there. And so therein lies the competition that makes it difficult if you're only rewarding and nurturing certain art forms and certain expressions. And when you put what we have found that Western aesthetics and what we call cultural elitism, meaning that the linear thinking, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, T, that is so dominant. Whichever is dominant at first is important, and everything else is secondary or inferior, and so it gets to lesser opportunities and lesser fun. And then that's where the competition lies for many artistic and cultural expressions outside what may be perceived as the classics. But yet, in my study around the world, every cultural art form has a classical form too. It may have the popular, secular, the spiritual, but it also has classical. So if you put that negative perception on other artistic forms, then you can say, well, I don't have to fund as much there. If we have some left over, we'll donate there. So therein lies, I interpret all those questions through my frame of reference and understanding, even though I was trained in Western aesthetics.
As chair of the art department and a professor of art history here at St. Clair, education is really the focus of my dealings with students and trying to help them get out into the community to be introduced to these arts organizations. And as such, the faculty in the art department made a very strong effort to tie our students to the greater art community. We have done collaborations with Dayton Visual Arts Center, for instance, for the last almost 4 years now, where we have an annual juried student exhibition each spring, and students who win awards are given membership to the Dayton Visual Arts Center. Now, you think, well, what is that going to do for the student? Well, first of all, it connects students to that art community. It gives them the opportunity to present their work in open shows, but also juried exhibitions. And for visual artists, juried exhibitions, when we talk about competition, that is where we compete. So we submit our work and a jury will select it for exhibition. This gets our students involved in the greater community. In my art history courses, my students go with me to the Dayton Art Institute, and we have a tour, and they write a paper. The point is to get them into the museum. I am shocked by the number of students I have who have grown up in the Dayton area and they have never set foot in the Dayton Art Institute. And that was one of the things I learned early on when I first started teaching, that it was so important for me to take them out of the classroom, take them to the Dayton Art Institute, introduce them to art in a formal gallery setting, and let them see that it's a place they can go and enjoy. It's a wonderful place, and I've had many, many students over the years who have completed their course and said, I became a museum member. I never thought I could do that. And so, you know, when we talk about competition, you know, as I went over the questions, that was one of the things that really kind of bothered me in a way, because I know there is competition for dollars, but I see us all, as has been said, as collaborators. And I think St. Clair's focus is to really educate our students, give them the tools they need, but get them out into the community and help them understand and appreciate the arts, because they become patrons later on. Right.
I'll second what Kelly said. In terms of the theater department, it's very much the same way. Because of the small amount of theater that happens in the community, we do rely on the community resources to place our students in real-world experiences outside of the department. Many of our students do transfer to Wright State University, but a lot of them do leave the area. I think in a way the competition that they face within the department and within the community is very healthy for them, because it gives them an opportunity to see what they are going to be faced with when they do leave the Dayton area. That if it's unhealthy, it is, becomes a combative thing where, they are all depending on one another, as, any artist does, and in particular, I think with theater performers, you do rely on your scene partners and the people that you are on stage with. So I think it's a learning experience for them to create a balance of being competitive to, say, get that role, or, to get that character on stage, but remembering that you are dependent upon everybody on that stage with you, and within our department, we are all dependent upon one another as well. So, as I said, it's a balance of competition versus collaboration and partnering. And then certainly, as Kelly said, in the college, what our main drive is to put our students into whatever community they decide to go into, but to create situations for them where they are going to be able to sustain themselves working as artists in the world.
No, I see a lot of panelists talking about not only is it competitive in the same organization and in the same area, but you guys collaborate a lot with different organizations. Now, how does collaboration between organizations affect the community of the arts and also the individuals themselves? Is it beneficial, or is it rewarding for the artist?
I'll take it from the student side. When we go into the schools, for example, with a program for the Philharmonic or the opera, ballet, DC, what am I talking to the school about? We are going to bring you an opportunity that you couldn't, no matter how much money you have in your school, you couldn't afford to do as a one-off. You can bring all the visual artists in one-off pretty easily, but not the art forms that we bring in as performers, because it isn't, the Dayton Opera, for example, writes a special piece to take into the schools. There's time involved in that, there's rehearsal. They also use the artists in residence that are here as part of the residency program. Most of these young people have master's degrees, they are taking initial roles in operas, they're pretty well trained at this point. So we are bringing them a level of performance excellence that they could not afford for a one-off for their school. So I think that's the value add. We couldn't do it if we didn't have a Dayton Opera. We couldn't do it if we didn't have a DC. We couldn't do it if we didn't have a ballet company here. So that's, I think, you get a quality experience so young people can see a different level that they wouldn't experience otherwise.
I hope I can speak for most of us, we don't expect everyone to embrace every art form, but we do like to have the opportunity for you to choose what is something that you can relate to. I just know the first time I was taken to an opera, I mean, I'd rather have been waterboarded than to have gone. But you know what? I didn't understand it. But once I did, I I can't believe it. I mean, I enjoy opera. I mean, it's the same thing with, you know, with musical theater, with visual arts, with everything. And with that said, I'm just going to be blatantly commercial and invite anyone here in the audience, if they would like to attend next Saturday afternoon's performance of the Dayton Ballet, I would be happy to give you complimentary tickets. Just as Greg will come up afterwards and give me your name and address, and we'll get you tickets for the Saturday afternoon performance. And you can extend that to your students too, if you like. It's just an opportunity. Maybe you'll love it, maybe you won't. But how else are you going to find out? And TV's not the way. I mean, you need to experience our art forms live to really appreciate it.
I want to pick up on the conversation about collaboration. Blue Sky Project is a summer residency experience that is based on an entirely collaborative model, and those collaborations actually work in kind of three parts. There's a collaboration between professional artists and youth. There's a collaboration amongst the professional artists who come to Blue Sky each summer, and then there's a collaboration between the professional artists and artists out in the community. So this summer we had a major new work created that was a collaboration between a choreographer, a musician, a visual artist, and a team of technologists from the University of Dayton Research Institute, and fascinating to bridge the worlds of art and technology, that also incorporated 17 artists from the Dayton community to create original work. And I think what's exciting from a collaborative standpoint, particularly in the world of contemporary art making, is that it allows each one of the artists who are participating to push their own art form in new directions that they wouldn't have an opportunity if they were trying to continue to make work just on their own. So from an art making standpoint, just the value of the work that's being produced, I think collaboration is essential. And that holds true for collaboration between organizations. When we can share resources and cross-pollinate artists, it allows us to create works that we wouldn't be able to create on our own. I think it's part of what enriches the Dayton community here, to have such wonderful collaboration amongst the individual artists and amongst the organizations.
All right, so we're talking about artists and getting the artists to actually perform for your organization, or the collaboration of the organizations. In your organization, how do you compete for that artist to even perform for you? And is there any incentives that you give them to get the best of the best?
Well, as long as I got the microphone on. The question itself is particularly relevant for Blue Sky as a residency program. So this past year, we had 90 artists apply for Blue Sky Project, and that included 21 international artists from 15 foreign countries, including a Spanish opera composer who studied with Pavarotti. So Blue Sky is not just a visual arts program. We had 58 artists from 20 states in the District of Columbia, and 11 artists from Ohio apply for the program. And we award one of our 5 residencies to an Ohio artist. So in terms of competing for artists locally, nationally, internationally, if you put out a compelling proposition, and Blue Sky is a very unique model in that we do allow artists and youth to collaborate at a very open level, it's very attractive. And so we've demonstrated over our history, 4 years in Illinois and 4 years in Ohio now, that this is something that artists want to take advantage of, and Dayton is very lucky to have a program like this that's attracting the kind of artists to our community.
I'll say in terms of the theater department, we've been able to attract some folks as well, and I think for us it really just boils down to money. If we have the money to support a director, and we do have a guest director coming from New York in our winter quarter or our winter semester show, and it was really a financial thing. If we could afford her, she would come. If we couldn't, then she wouldn't.
I might speak to this for just a minute. The youth operates on a model where we have advisors, club advisors in the schools. It's extremely important that the advisors stretch their arts experiences. And so we do a summer workshop. Bing has been a part of that and speaking to getting beyond just the major Western. We try to expose the teacher advisors who, by the way, are not necessarily music teachers, drama teachers. The majority of them are probably English teachers, math, science. But it's very important that they experience all kinds of performance and culture. So we do that in the summer workshops so that when there is something on the program, maybe we had a drummer that came in and did all the African drumming last year, that the teachers will know this is something that's going to be spectacular and a whole new experience for their students. I mean, it was a sensational program. Michael Bashaw, quite well known in town as well, brought in, I guess maybe about 20 instruments that were all from other cultures that most of them had never seen and played for the teachers at the summer workshop. So we try to continually expand the experiences of the teachers so that when they work with the students, they say, oh, you got to go over to Ben's studio, wait till you see what he does. That kind of thing. But until the teacher understands it, it's hard for them to communicate to the students. So we are very, very broad in what we expose the teachers and students to. We try to do it all.
At the Alliance, we really have learned to, we attract talent or artists from nationally and internationally to come to Dayton. And the example of the ballet, this upcoming ballet has a world premiere piece by a San Francisco-based choreographer named Seward. So, or something like that, Seward, something like that. Anyway, and so she came to town, she worked with the dancers and came up with this piece, and it's, we're really excited about it. In the case of the opera, the artistic director, Tom Bankston, he holds his auditions in New York a couple of times a year, and it's amazing the people who want to work in Dayton. For one, the venue, the Schuster Center, is just a gem of the city. It's acoustically perfect, or as near as it can possibly be. And opera performances are not, they're not enhanced by electronics. So, you know, the voice has to carry to the back row of the upper balcony, and it does quite well. We also have an artist in residence program where we bring four, usually like Mary said, master students or master graduates who are trying to make a name for themselves, and they work with us. They perform in a couple of operas, and they work in our school programs through the Muse Machine. And people, when they come back, we also hone, we put our artists, when they come to town to do a performance, in local homes. And we do that just because I would imagine it gets a little tiring to live in a motel room if you're traveling around. But they really start to create bonds with people here, and they want to come back. And I have not heard one negative aspect about living in Dayton from these artists. Well, maybe before they came to visit, but once they come here and realize the warmth of the community,